The story of a transformable robot ship that wasn't good enough for the Autobots or Decepticons, or even the GoBots. This is Sega Masters. Another plain title screen signaling an early Sega release that was part of the first wave in America. TransBot, known as Astro Flash in Japan and Nuclear Creature in Brazil, is a horizontal space shooter that was clearly inspired by the Transformers franchise, if the cover art didn't already tip you off. And this is one of those games that puts up a nice first impression, but ultimately ends up being a proverbial paper tiger. As you might imagine, a threat to the universe has emerged, here in the form of an ancient computer named Dallas, which has raised an army to destroy everything in its path. And somehow you're the only one who can stop it by piloting a special ship that has the ability to transform into a robot. For the most part, the game follows the standard pattern. Different enemies fly your way in predictable patterns, and you shoot them. Simple as that. Occasionally a carrier vehicle drives along the bottom of the screen, and blasting it will release a crystal ball which allows you to choose one of 6 special weapons to activate, depending on which letter you select as it cycles through the choices. While the special weapons are nice, you can only shoot them a limited amount of times as indicated by the R meter on the screen, before you revert back to your default P shooter. A couple of the options will even transform your ship into robot mode with some special weapons of its own, which sounds cool, but your alternate form doesn't really do anything different from the normal form, other than flying like a vertical version of the ship. The game certainly looks nice with crisp looking sprites and decent colorful settings with some parallax scrolling thrown in. The controls work okay, but like most other shooters, there's no built-in rapid fire, meaning some button mashing is in store to mount any real offense. Incidentally, the power meter is your shield, which allows you to absorb several hits before losing a ship. In any case, the level continues on like this, flying and blasting enemies until you reach the entrance to the underground base. However, there's a catch. You can only reach said entrance by destroying a certain enemy, which is only vulnerable to one special weapon. If you don't fulfill this requirement at the right time, the level will loop around endlessly, which seems pretty unnecessary, not to mention annoying. Plus, it forces you to keep listening to the monotonous background tune that's catchy at first, but quickly gets on your nerves. Assuming you do manage to pull that feat off, you reach the end of the stage and fly down through the entrance into the underground base, where you're greeted with more of the same shooting action against more flying baddies. There's not much difference from the action above ground, other than a change of scenery and an okay music theme. Eventually you encounter a boss that looks just like an Imperial AT-ST walker straight out of Star Wars, which the manual claims is Dallas itself or something like that. The fight is as basic as you can get, just dodge its shots while firing back when you get an opening. Land enough hits and the boss blows up. And what's your reward for conquering your foe? You're zapped right back to the beginning of the main level to do it all over again. That's right, TransBot has only the 2 parts that repeat indefinitely, with no other stages or anything like that. Not even an ending. So after just one playthrough there's nothing new to see, and no reason to keep going other than the high score, making the whole game feel like a quick thrown together rush job to pad out the launch lineup. So despite its first impressions, TransBot turns out to be a game of wasted potential with its boring and repetitious gameplay that you're done with after just 5 minutes. You're left feeling it could have done so much more with some of its features, especially the robot mode, which just seems there to justify the game title and nothing else. More enemies, more levels, just about more anything would have helped make this card at least worth some of your time. The Master System has much better shooters in its library, such as R-Type and the like, so this outdated card is best left forgotten.